Having a deep understanding of the dynamics of the international market, he has worked in this field, posing a more general question regarding the rethinking of supply chains from both a functional and strategic perspective.
Yes, this is a topic that is currently on the table, I think, for all CEOs. All the purchasing managers and so on, because the exogenous events I referred to earlier, including, of course, the energy crisis, geopolitical issues and sanctions, have highlighted, if we want to say, the pandemic itself. All these phenomena have brought to light a series of vulnerabilities in the international system, so to speak, of trade globalization, which has been somewhat what we have relied on for growth over the last, I would say, 30 years. They put him in difficulty by showing, even in a blunt way, that it only takes a large ship blocking the Suez Canal to create real heart attacks in the system of goods circulation. Therefore, geopolitical crises have led to a wake-up call regarding dependency, especially concerning certain strategic raw materials, including energy resources, as well as many mineral and agricultural raw materials, such as food production. They have shown us how fragile the system can be when a grain of sand enters the mechanism, making its fluidity more difficult. And here we have not had grains of sand, but boulders that have entered the system. This has led to the consideration of the topic that is now referred to as friendshoring or nearshoring, involves bringing closer or rethinking all supply chains, including commercial, production, industrial, and technological chains, to feel a bit more secure. Calm down a series of rules that are important today and that were not so critical a few years ago, were not so decisive for purchasing strategies, for example. From this point of view, I believe that as an entrepreneur, as a manager who has always worked at an international level, we are losing something, because clearly there is a loss in terms of efficiency if we are forced to change, so to speak, for example, suppliers or sources. However, we are recovering in terms of energy security, raw materials, and productive accounting, which is what we need to be concerned about. Certainly, this reevaluation is now evident to everyone. It will involve important choices and may also require reinvestments, marking a return to policies of outsourcing that may have been pushed too far. However, it is an exciting challenge.
Certainly, as an entrepreneur,
I would prefer to have a free market without sanctions, without wars, where operators aim to create value and wealth. However, if we look at things through the lens of geopolitics and history, I have been convinced for decades that creating conditions of well-being for one's populations was sufficient, not so much for having democratic systems, but for having tranquility, serenity, and peace. To mitigate social conflict, to reduce crime, we have seen that it is not enough. We are realizing this. It is more of a topic for sociologists in some way, but I like to touch on it because I am dealing with it. I am delving into certain themes, and it is not sufficient. It is not necessarily true that a democratic country is also safe and free of crime, nor is it true that an authoritarian country is less efficient than a democratic one. Achieving a sufficient level of well-being does not guarantee that the population is satisfied, or that it is a necessary and sufficient condition for social peace, because there are additional elements emerging, ideological and national elements, that are somewhat calling into question the entire framework we had envisioned. This is certainly a topic we will need to address, as it will have a significant impact on the development processes of our companies. Therefore, we need to rethink it from a practical standpoint. Thus, friendshoring, nearshoring, and so on are phenomena that are accelerating, especially for this reason.